80. Okay, here we go. Proof you grew up poor in the 80s. Hold on, wait. See, I was born 89, but I was raised in the 90s. So do they have? Nope, they don't have a. Nope, they don't have one for the 90s. But let's see. I think this will be interesting. So, like I said, I was born in 89, January of 89. Yes, my birthday's coming up, January 18th. Make sure you show love to the channel, show love to the kid. I take all donations. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or it's $10, or you just want to say happy birthday. It's all welcome, bro. January 18th, that's my birthday. So I'll be looking forward to hearing from some of you. Some of you. Um, but growing up in the 90s was ideal for me. I was being raised by people who had certain morals and beliefs and backgrounds from earlier years, like 50s, 60s, 70s. But then I also had like an uncle around who was still young in the 80s. Um, so I was being filled with a lot of knowledge and a lot of culture from way back, like way back when. Um, and it molds you. It molds you into the person you are. It helps you. If they're helpful individuals, it'll help you. Um, but I think I missed a lot of key things because the people who were raising me were still they still had a lot of growing to do. Um, still had a lot of growing to do. So I definitely missed out on some things. Definitely did. But I don't think that doesn't stop me from getting better. Doesn't stop me from being a better person. Doesn't stop me from growing as an individual. None of that stops. If you believe it does, then you're done. You should be on your deathbed if you feel like you are done growing. I've always said that. I never say I know everything because I know I don't. Um, and if I believe I've done everything I can, I should be on my way out the door, meaning it's almost over with. I'm finna go meet Jesus. Like, other than that, I'm constantly trying to get better and improve, and that's how life should go, I feel. Constantly want to do better. Otherwise, you're just stuck in a circle, and that's freaking insane. All right. So, growing up in the 90s, let's see if there's some things that we can actually remember or recall growing up in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. I don't know who else grew up in the 90s. When I say grow up, right? This is probably going to trip up some people. When I say grow up in the 90s, that means from about 4 or 5, basically, once your comprehension becomes somewhat stable, you're moving on your own and you're talking, right? From that period to about 15, right? You can say that. You can say that is the gap, 10, 15 years. That is you being raised and brought up in a certain time frame. A decade is only 10 years. So I spent all of the 90s growing and learning as a kid. Let's see if we can remember some things from the 90s.
If you grew up in the 1990s, you remember a time before everything went digital. Listening
Yeah.
to music on CD players, hoping the disc wouldn't skip. Sitting on
Oh,
the
yeah.
internet and praying no one picked up the phone in the middle of a download. And of course, Friday night trips to the video store weren't just routine. They
Yeah.
were part of how we lived.
Yo,
This is growing up in the
Blockbuster.
1990s. We were the last
this?
to really live.
This is already good.
In the
This is
early
already
90s,
good.
CD players started replacing cassette Walkmans, and it felt like a big upgrade. No
Yep.
more rewinding tapes or flipping sides. Just pop in a disc and skip
The
straight to your
Discman?
favorite track.
Yeah, we didn't even make it 2 minutes into the video. The Discman with the FM radio? You were balling if you had that. And you know it. You know it for a fact. If you were a kid in the 90s and you had a Discman with the FM radio, not just a Discman by itself, and this is before Sony started making Walkmans, because I know you remember those.
track.
Oh my
The
God.
sound was clearer, more polished,
There it goes right
especially
there. That's the
compared to
Sony
worn out
Walkman
cassettes,
with the
but they
wraparound
weren't perfect.
headphones.
Ideal proving ground for the Sony Discman with ESP.
Come
We
on, bro.
developed ESP
Come on, bro.
technology.
Most of us
Come
remember
on, man.
walking around trying not to jostle the thing, because even with anti-skip tech, a small bump could make the music jump ahead mid-song. People
Yeah,
carried them flat in one hand like a tray, just to
yeah.
keep things steady. Still, it was worth it.
Nah. The Sony CD player, the Sony Walkman, the Sony CD Walkman was the one that you could like hold it upside down. You could move it and all that, and it wouldn't skip. It was that gray one. And then they came out with a white and orange like Sony Walkman. I think this was getting into the 2000s. Um, it was like real like hippie kind of had a little toggle button on top that you could press and skip. But that one was damn near perfect when it came to no skips. Like damn near perfect. I stand by it, bro. I'm gonna find out, man.
CDs felt like the future, even if you had to babysit the player.
Mm.
There was something about making mixtapes that was just
Oh,
magic.
the
The task of
mixtape
hitting
era.
record at the right moment, trying to avoid the DJ talking over the song, and hoping you didn't end up with an awkward fade out at the end. It was an art form. We made them for ourselves, for our
And for
crushes,
friends.
or just to share with friends.
Friends.
The mix of
The girl
songs
you
on a
like.
single tape told a story.
Yeah, they
And
did.
then, as CDs took over, we switched to burning our mixes onto discs. Too bad kids today will never really know the thrill of exchanging a mixtape with a friend. Or
Oh my God. That is exactly why I started doing music on YouTube. All of my first videos are straight music. All of my videos are straight music. The first like 500 videos I made, nothing but music because of that right there. Sharing music with a friend is nostalgic. And the music you like, the songs you listen to speak to you. They say something, they make you feel, and you want to see if it does the same thing for others or just see what they feel. 100% just see what they feel. And that's music. Sharing music is the greatest thing for me. I've asked 1,000 times if y'all have music you want me to listen to, send it. Some people do, some people don't. But it shows me a little bit of who you are, the type of songs you like, and the type of songs you listen to. And that is real. That is real, bro. The music you listen to says something about you.
too bad
Thousand
kids today
percent.
will never really know the thrill of exchanging a mixtape with a friend, or the rush of hearing that perfect song when you hit play. And don't say you never made a mixtape back in the day.
I know
Friday
you,
nights
yo.
used to mean grabbing a worn out VHS tape, sliding it into the VCR, and hitting play. Whether it was a movie you owned or one you rented from the corner video store, there was something special about watching it on your own TV. The picture was grainy, the tracking sometimes needed adjusting, but that was part of the charm. And remember those insert sheets that came with new blank tapes? We had dozens of them, always nearby, just in case. The soft whir as the tape loaded, that satisfying click, it meant you were in for a good time, right there in your living room.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can play it on my brother's computer.
Okay, no
Floppy
problem.
disks.
All we gotta do is...
Before flash drives or cloud storage, we had floppy disks. And I mean floppy. If you're old enough, you might remember the big 8-inch ones, or those 5 1/4-inch discs that actually bent when you held them. But most of us used the 3.5-inch kind,
used to pull
the
that
hard
little
plastic
thing back
ones
and
with
just
that
click it
little
all the
metal
time?
slider. I used to pull it back with my finger just to hear it snap shut.
We
And
all
when your
did,
computer
bro.
started reading it, that clicking and whirring sound meant your files were, hopefully, loading. It wasn't high capacity, but back then, it felt like the future.
God,
There was a
bro.
time when Friday nights meant heading to the video rental store, whether it was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, or Suncoast. You'd grab your membership card, ready to pick out your weekend movie haul.
Suncoast.
New
At
releases
least
were a
not
big
Robin.
deal,
Yeah,
and you'd
Blockbuster.
always hope the latest Blockbuster was still available, because they were
Man, Blockbuster Night. How many of y'all remember Blockbuster Night? Or did you not have a Blockbuster Night? If we had a good week at school, if there was no issues, mom didn't have to get any phone calls or anything like that, Friday night would be Blockbuster Night. Um, we'd order food, maybe a pizza, typically Pizza Hut, especially around that time. Order Pizza Hut and go to Blockbuster. Blockbuster first, then you order pizza. Um, and everyone would be able to pick their own movie. So everybody would be able to pick their own movie or she might make us, because it was me and my sisters, she might make us all agree on one movie. Didn't always work, but you look forward to it. Like you would look forward to Blockbuster night because it was like a family moment. It was still family time. And that's definitely lost nowadays, at least from what I see. From what I see in my nearby things, family time is non-existent. Um, all your time is spent on here, and you'll be on here while you're with other people, and you're still trapped in this thing. So family togetherness and being together with people is not. It's not like it used to be.
Were in high demand, and
Sorry,
if
but
you weren't
I'm
fast
sorry.
enough, you'd end up with something else. The shelves were lined with VHS tapes, and the
Man,
excitement of picking out the perfect one, then racing home to watch it, was its own kind of magic. No
it was.
streaming, no instant access, just the thrill of picking a movie off the shelf. Remember that unforgettable sound when you connected to the internet? That screeching, buzzing noise that seemed to go on
Y'all
forever?
remember that?
You knew you were about to dive into something new, but it always felt like an adventure or a test of patience. If someone in the house picked up the phone while you were online, it was like losing all progress, especially if you were downloading a file and everything would reset from the beginning. It wasn't uncommon
That
to
thing
hear
would
your
say
mom
like
yelling,
3
"Don't pick up the
days
phone, I'm waiting for an
or
important
freaking
call." And don't
15
forget that
hours.
heart-pounding moment when the screen finally loaded and that iconic "You've got mail" popped up. A simple message, but it felt like you had won the internet lottery back then. Pogs were one of those things that defined the 90s.
But look,
I
I
still
got some
have
cool
my
pogs. Elf pogs. Remember
I still
Elf?
have my
They were
pogs.
everywhere, at school,
I 1,000% still have my pogs. I have to find them, and I promise you I will show you guys my pogs. I still have my pogs. That was the game to play in
in
the
kids'
90s, bro.
pockets, and on the playground. The game itself was simple, but the fun was endless. You'd gather with friends, each with their own stack of pogs, ready to battle it out. The goal? Knock the other person's pogs out of the stack using your own. But it wasn't just about the game. It was about the excitement of collecting them, trading them with friends, and showing
Yes.
off your best ones. Every pog was a little piece of nostalgia, and that feeling of victory when you won a trade or knocked out a rare one was unbeatable. Saturday mornings in the 90s were a magical time. The TV was our
Saturday
window
morning.
to a world of adventure, and it all started with a bowl of cereal in
Banana
hand.
splits.
New episodes of Winnie the Pooh, Scooby-Doo, and Beetlejuice would kick off the weekend, each show a new adventure to dive into. The excitement of discovering what was coming next kept us
Ghostbusters.
glued to the screen, while the theme songs became the soundtrack of our
This is what you call like a big trip down memory lane, bro. This is a big trip down memory lane, and I'm almost sure that some of the people that are tuned in right now are possibly older than me. Um, so you remember this a lot better than I do. This was just fun times for me. Like all of these things bring back joyous memories. All of it. Like all of it. Down to the freaking dial up. Like you would make an announcement in the house as soon as you get home from school, you go check the mail and you see that AOL disc in there. So now you got like a day or a couple hours or like 3 days free, and you pop it in and you make the announcement. Nobody pick up the phone. Nobody answer the like you would make the announcement because as soon as I get on, I'm locked in. And that was the beginning wave of internet. Well, for me, like, damn, bro. I feel old now, just a little bit, like just a little bit.
childhood. Saturdays weren't just about cartoons, they were about the simple joy of the weekend and all the possibilities it brought. And when the cartoons ended,
Look
well,
forward to
it
the
was time to
weekend,
go
bro.
outside and start our own adventures.
Cartoons were over at 12 o'clock, people. Like majority of cartoons that got shown on TV cut off at like 11 or 12, and then they would play their regular shows. So you had like from early in the morning till about 11 or 12 to watch cartoons and watch TV. Once that goes off, get outside. Get your bike, go gather up the troops, go find a hill to jump. Like, oh my God, I want to time travel just so my son can experience a real life outdoors type childhood.
Back in the early 90s, smoking was everywhere. It's hard to believe, but you could even light up inside a McDonald's. Remember those little foil ashtrays they had on the tables? It wasn't just fast food joints. People smoked in restaurants, on planes, and
everywhere.
even in movie theaters. The air was thick with it, and nobody thought twice. Whether it was after a meal or with a drink at the bar, smoking was just part of the experience. It's hard to imagine now, but thankfully, bans on smoking in these places came soon after, making the air a little cleaner for everyone.
I gotta say this. We're gonna get back to it. So y'all, when you look at old NBA photos, like old NBA highlights, anything from definitely the 80s and the early 90s, all of those photos have those like hues and rings around them of blues and whites. It's solely because of the smoke that was in the arena that all of those pictures look like that. We will never be able to recreate those type of photos ever again because the flash would go off and it would catch all the smoke in the air. It would create this like uh what is it, bokeh type thing. Like it's, as someone who takes photos, I should know, right? No, not right now. It would create this image, and you cannot recreate that now. Like computerized, you probably could, but there's no more smoke in arenas, so your pictures are not going to look super flashy. And that's what used to make those posters dope. Like you get posterized, you're gonna remember that for the rest of your freaking life. You're gonna remember that. Oh man,
Disposable
Kodak.
cameras were everywhere back in the day. You'd take them to birthdays, weddings, parties, really, any event worth remembering. No one had phones in their pockets, just those little plastic cameras. You'd snap a few photos and hope for the best, then wait days to get them developed. The fun was in the surprise. Half the shots were blurry, someone's eyes were closed. But it didn't matter. Even now, you can still find them, bringing back that old school charm.
And if you get a good picture,
Before
you did
Google
good.
and smartphones, there was Encarta, the encyclopedia on a CD-ROM that felt like the future. You'd pop it into your computer and spend hours exploring, clicking from one topic to the next out of pure curiosity. It wasn't just for school projects. Sometimes you'd dive into it just for the fun of learning. There were
for the
sound
fun,
clips, timelines, even short videos, and of course, Mind Maze, the trivia game that made you feel like a genius. Back then, it felt like having the whole world right there on your screen. There was a time when every road trip started with unfolding a big paper map across the kitchen table. You'd trace your route with a finger, maybe even highlight it with a marker. Most of us kept one stuffed in the glove box, just in case. They'd get worn at the creases and sometimes torn, but they never ran out of battery or lost signal. Even today, if you're out in the middle of nowhere with no internet, that old folded up map might just save the day. It wasn't the most convenient, but it did the job, and there was something rewarding about figuring it out as you went. In the days before the internet made walkthroughs and cheat codes easy to find, gaming magazines were our go-to guides. Magazines like Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro, and Tips and Tricks were practically like treasure maps, leading us to the best tips, cheats, and reviews. Each issue was a mini event. We'd flip through the pages, finding new tricks to try or sneak peeks at upcoming games. It was a world of gaming discovery before the days of online forums or YouTube tutorials. You had to wait, savor it, and sometimes even fight for the best tips. Paying by check might seem old-fashioned now, but back in the day, it was the standard way to handle most transactions. Whether you were paying your rent, your electric bill, or picking up a new appliance, writing a check was just part of life. And let's not forget those carbon copy checkbooks, where you'd always have a record of your payment for later. It may have taken longer to clear than swiping a card, but it felt more personal somehow, like you were really in control of your money. Plus, writing checks meant you had to plan ahead, not just buy whatever on a whim. Flying in the 90s became more accessible to the average person. With the rise of budget airlines and more affordable fares, flying wasn't just for the wealthy anymore. It felt like a new era of travel, where people from all walks of life could
I
hop
didn't
on a
start
plane and
flying until
explore
later
new
in life. I
places.
never got on
There
a
were
plane in
still
the
no
90s.
long security lines or tight regulations, and it felt more relaxed. Traveling in the 90s had a different kind of charm. It wasn't always the most comfortable, but it felt special. PB Crisps were a beloved snack from the 90s, shaped like peanuts and packed with delicious fillings like peanut butter, chocolate, or even peanut butter and jelly. Their crunchy outer shell and smooth, creamy filling created the perfect snack experience. Whether you grabbed them for a quick snack after school or packed them in your lunch, they were a staple for many. Sadly, PB Crisps are no longer around, but for those who remember, they still bring back those tasty memories of the 90s. What comes to mind when you think of the 90s? I'd love to hear your memories in the comments. And if you enjoyed this little trip,
Right. Oh my God. The 90s. The 90s, man. It was a great time. It was right before everything started to suck real hard. Like, at least in my opinion. At least in my opinion. I have to say that. Like, the 2000s, especially 2000 to 2010, those early years were pretty cool. Things are changing now, but the 90s, I remember vividly. Like, I remember being outside. Oh, I won. Let's go. Listen, if you've been on the live or you've been watching, I told you I usually do not win these word games, but I am winning right now. So I'm gonna marinate on that. I'm not about to start another game. I'm winning right now. I got to keep this going. Um, Back in the 90s, bro, I was a kid. I was a young kid, and the world felt like it was at your fingertips. Having access to the internet, but not caring about it. Like, I was a little bit of a nerd, so I was really into the computer. Not just the things I could use it for, but how it ran, how a computer thought, like what makes up the components, all those things. I was into that. But I also liked hanging out with my friends outside. I like being outside, playing some random football game in the street or field that we may have found. Just hanging out, man. No drugs are involved. There's nothing crazy going on. We're just vibing. We're living, we're vibing, we're creating memories that we don't even know we're doing. Like the 90s were pinnacle because after that everything became electronic. And I remember when I remember when they had to tell people to tell their kids to go outside because no one was going outside anymore. They started creating more and more games and things and stuff for us to stay indoors. They had to say the NFL made it a thing, but it was a thing before they did it. But play 60. I remember that. Go outside and play for 60 minutes. Parents were locking their kids outside for 1 hour. In the 90s, we didn't have air tags. We didn't have freaking cell phones and things like that. Your stopwatch and your timer was the street light. That was it. Street light. You've been outside all day, sun's been up. Soon as the first street light you see come on, it doesn't matter if it's still sunny outside. Soon as that street light come on, you better start heading home. That was just a known thing. We all knew that. We all knew it. Starting to get dark out, time to go home. Your mom, bro, you probably were like 5 miles away from your house throughout the whole day. Mom didn't know. She wasn't calling and blowing you up. Mom didn't trip either. You literally would get on your bike and you would ride miles away from your home and just be out in the community, just out and about. And if you lived in a certain type of neighborhood, your community knew who you were because they knew your parents. And if they didn't, that's how you make a friend. And what's the first thing your mom says? Soon as you want to go to this friend's house or you want to hang out with this friend, who's their parents? Tell their parents to call me. I got to meet their folks. Everything goes well. Now you got a new friend and your mom got a new friend or your dad got a new friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that anymore at all. It's nowhere near that. It's nowhere near that. And I am very appreciative for growing up in the time that I did, um, seeing and being a part of the free, literally free world. It was just free, bro. It didn't cost anything to have fun. I didn't have to pay to do anything. I just did it. You just went outside and you made memories. And it was for your people, the people in your neighborhood, people you went to school with. That's who you hung out with. That's your social circle. And then they gave us the internet, and it was like, no, that social circle in your neighborhood is no more. Now you can be friends with everyone all across the world. What? It's too much. It's too much, bro. Too much, bro. I don't know what year some of y'all were born in, but I think the 90s is the best decade of all time. Like the 90s, and I want to include the first 10 years of the 2000s, 2000 to 2010. I kind of want to include that because it was still learning, growing, changing. Things were dope. Early 2000s were still dope. Technology was becoming more prevalent. Started to notice the changes in technology, notice how certain things were being created to make things easy for us. And a lot of people were missing these things. But it's all right. Here we are, 2026. Year just started, bro. It's 2026 now. Year just started. And it's a crazy time to be alive, ain't it?
Perfect.